Tubular Bells is the name of that iconic theme that plays in William Friedkin's The Exorcist, but had things gone another way, the director may never have secured the rights to the song. The Exorcist is one of the greatest horror movies of all time. It's hard to argue that considering its 10 Academy Award nominations with 2 wins, as well the large franchise of the Exorcist movies it spawned. Decades later, no exorcism movie, and there are dozens, has come close to eclipsing Friedkin's horrifying, fantastic creation. Just about everything in The Exorcist is memorable or influential. Regan's, Linda Blair, head spinning and pea soup puking, the terrifying face of the pallid demon, the power of Christ compels you, and more are as much a part of movie history as the film itself. The parts are not better than the whole, but they're pretty great. The theme for The Exorcist is an iconic bit of music as well. Horror movie themes can add so much to even an already great movie, and Tubular Bells is no different. Thankfully, Friedkin nabbed it just in time. Tubular Bells is an iconic and critical piece of The Exorcist. The song only plays twice in the movie. Tubular Bells is the debut album of Mike Oldfield, released on the 25th of May, 1973, and it happened to be the first album for the new record label, Virgin Records. There are only 2 songs on the record. Side 1 has Tubular Bells, Part 1, 25:30, and Side 2 has Tubular Bells, Part 2, 23:22. Oldfield plays nearly every instrument on the album, which is at times eccentric and off-kilter but completely dynamic and a majorly fun listen for the nearly 50 minutes of its run. The Exorcist only uses the introduction to Part 1 as its theme. Despite how closely associated with the film the music is, it only appears in 2 very brief scenes. The first is at the beginning of the film when Chris MacNeil, Ellen Burstyn, is walking home from her film set. There have not been many supernatural happenings in the story yet, but this is the first time Chris spots Father Karras, Jason Miller. The tapping pianos of the opening of Tubular Bells combined with long, low bass lines create an unnerving and mysterious atmosphere for The Exorcist. The song implies that though things have not gone wrong quite yet, Chris, and the audience, are on the verge of stumbling into something terrifying. The music could be the sound of the sidewalk crumbling behind Chris as she walks, getting ever closer to sucking her down below to somewhere horrifying. The second use of the song comes late in the film, just before the credits, and only a piece of the song is heard. It's just enough though to leave the audience feeling a bit unsettled as they exit the theater or turn off the TV. William Friedkin happened across Tubular Bells almost by chance. Friedkin had another composer come in before going with Oldfield. A possessed Regan MacNeil, Linda Blair, glares at the camera in The Exorcist. Interestingly enough, William Friedkin stumbled upon Tubular Bells basically by accident. Tubular Bells was a white label release, meaning there was no identifying information on the record when Friedkin first heard it, via Far Out magazine. Friedkin had originally commissioned someone else to write the score for the film, Lalo Schifrin, composer of the iconic Mission Impossible theme that opens those movies. Friedkin said about the theme, via Vice, Friedkin went to see the head of Warner and tried to explain his dilemma. He was directed to a large room stacked with demos, which is where he came across the white label Mike Oldfield album. Friedkin tried it out and was immediately captured by the hook, and knew right away that was the sound he wanted for his film. Friedkin and Warner ended up winning the rights to the song for use in The Exorcist. According to Friedkin, the record ended up selling between 10 and 20 million records, a number corroborated by the Mike Oldfield website, which put the actual sales number at 16 million, no doubt, thanks in large part to its presence in The Exorcist. The Exorcist, Believer updated Tubular Bells for the 2023 movie. Believer uses a remix of the song multiple times. Chris, Ellen Burstyn, explains something to Victor, Leslie Odom Jr., in The Exorcist, Believer. Tubular Bells returned for The Exorcist, Believer, updated into a modern version for the first return to the franchise since the 2005 Paul Schrader-directed, Dominion, prequel to The Exorcist. The song first comes up when Victor, Leslie Odom Jr., drives to meet Chris MacNeil. As he's driving a remix by David Wingo and Arman Obossi, Tubular Bells, Chris MacNeil, begins playing while he drives, picking up until he reaches his destination. It's heard 3 more times throughout the film, when Chris goes to the bedroom to confront the demon, during the climactic exorcism, and then during the credits. This is a much higher usage rate than the original song in The Exorcist, and the constant callbacks to the original film are part of what makes Believer grating as a sequel. However, those piano chords are so eerie and mysterious, that it's hard not to be drawn in each time The Exorcist, Believer brings them back into the movie. The remixed version of Tubular Bells isn't too far off the original, but it starts much slower. In The Exorcist, the song gets pumping right away, adding a lot of forward momentum to the mystery and the story. In The Exorcist, Believer, it creeps up quietly, silently signaling to the audience that the characters in the film are soon going to learn what fans of The Exorcist have known all along: there is a demon present. Mike Oldfield is still recording music in the Bahamas. Oldfield nearly retired before coming back to record Tubular Bells for The Exorcist. Ellen burst in the original Exorcist, with a shocked look on her face. After Tubular Bells, Mike Oldfield produced 24 more studio albums, including Tubular Bells 2, 1992, Tubular Bells 3, 1998, The Millennium Bell, 1999, and Tubular Bells 2003, each of which are part of the Tubular Bells series. He was nominated for 2 Grammy Awards, winning in 1975 for Tubular Bells in the Best Instrumental Composition category. Tubular Bells was also inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame as an album. Oldfield only scored one movie in his life, The Killing Fields, which resulted in him receiving a Golden Globe nomination. Mike Oldfield released a Tubular Bells 50th anniversary reissue with an additional unreleased 8-minute track, The Introduction to Tubular Bells 4, in 2023. Oldfield worked on Tubular Bells 4 in 2017 but ended up cancelling the project. His label said that the track, via You Discover Music,